America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We remain standing and remember, as we always do every meeting, our military, home and abroad, those affected by COVID. I have two local folks. I know both these families, as we all do, most of us do. Joan Christoph Worley and Margaret Peggy Rafferty. Thank you. Okay. So start with new business. Public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone want to speak on what's on the agenda? Yes.
Martha Allwood, Highland Falls. Oh, something new.
No.
This is totally ridiculous in requesting an opt-out only. We have senior citizens here who are overwhelmed with age and illness issues. We have a community where some of the people might not have English as a first language. This looks like just junk mail. You open it up and it's opt-out only. It should be opt-in as a choice, not opt-out only. This is not fair to the residents of this place. A lot of people aren't going to read it. Some people aren't going to get it. The way the mail has been, if you opt out, it might not get there by March 31st. I couldn't get a letter to New Paltz in under 2 weeks. So how do we know this is going to go to Texas by the 31st? People aren't going to understand it. They don't know what it's about. It should be, if you want in, you contact them and you get into the program, not opt out. This is unfair to a lot of residents here, and everyone I've talked to, which has only been under 10 people, they're all opting out and they don't like the way this has been done. This is ridiculous, and the fact that it says Highland, it wasn't even mailed here. And it's a copy of your signature, Mayor, and this is ridiculous. So I hope word can get out, whether it's people who watch this online or, on TV. Read this and make sure you make your own decision, not let the company make it for you. I've never been so appalled at one more way of scamming the public.
Okay, so I'll address that right now, which will take the last item on the agenda off the agenda. Where'd she go?
Right here.
Okay. So
I'd like a chance to then before you close the item.
okay. So there you are. Okay. So let me address what you addressed. 100% agree. It was done wrong. It is wrong. Terrible. And some folks that are in this room have heard me downstairs on the phone with this company from day one, literally from day one, that it was wrong. And whether you know me or not, I can have a good time with you. I can laugh with you. But when I'm mad, I'm mad, and I was mad. Let me finish. And they know how I feel about that one issue. It didn't take 5 minutes of my first meeting to come up with that. Why should I have to opt out? If I want you, I need to call someone. I totally agree. You took our rights away. That's number one. Number two, the village is not opting in. Is not. Number three, I am not opting in. I actually got my bill out and I looked at the bill, the part I never look at on the back. I always just look at what do I have to pay, and I don't even have Orange and Rockland. And that's what I want to tell everyone. If you have a third party, you won't get a letter. Because even today I called the company and said, hey, I didn't get my letter yet. And they told me why, because I don't have Orange and Rockland. Only if you have Orange and Rockland, I guess you get a letter. Here, I have, before the attorney leaves tonight, I have at least, I'm gonna give you these two documents. They deal with the lease. I'd like to see, I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time, there's a lot here, maybe a lot of it's standard, you know, but I just want the board to know, and then they have to vote, can we opt out? The company knows I want out. Not only do I want out personally from my home, I want out of this, but I'm only one, okay? I want to know, can we opt out?
You mean, can you rescind the?
That's right.
Okay.
So those are, if you would look at that and let me know as soon as possible. This is a disaster. I can't walk outside Village Hall without people coming up to me. And I know other folks up here, the same thing. It's wrong the way it was done.
Is there any way to back it up?
Well, that's what she's gonna tell me. That's what she's
But
gonna,
if it isn't, what about the people that are gonna end up in it not even knowing?
well, I'm going to call tomorrow. I can't, I'd like to say I can solve all problems, but obviously I can't. I am gonna call the company tomorrow that whatever you were mailed, what's in that envelope,
Yeah.
I want them to give me 100 of them. And then I want the people through the press and maybe Channel 23, if you threw it out, and people told me they threw it out, it looked like junk mail.
Yeah.
You'll be able to come in Village Hall and pick up a new one. That's what I'm hoping to do.
But you got a deadline too. And you
Yeah,
can't
no,
and you can't
I-
count on the mail getting there.
I got you. I got you. Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, everybody. Joe DeWitt, Village resident. All right, with that lead up, this is going to be hard to say, but
You're for it.
of course. And no, let me tell you, we presented it. It was presented to our board. Of course, our board looked at it. Your board looked at it, and originally, everybody liked what they saw and agreed to it. And now, I'd like to start by asking, now you've changed your mind, is it based on you think this thing's a disaster? There have been numerous Zoom meetings, public meetings about this issue, and printings. The information has been out there. It's about choice. In the old days, when you used to sign up for these things and you opted out early, you used to get fined, or you had to pay $100 to escape it. We would never have agreed to that in the town if that was the case. This is about a choice. I say it's like getting a free BJ's card, but nobody's forcing you to shop there. You have the choice. And if you take, if the village and the village, say, tries to get out of the contract, then you take away that choice from everybody. I was called a socialist in an email by somebody who was similar to Martha's argument. Socialism or communism, you don't get any choices. You're told what happens. This is just an option that's brought to the table for people that want it. Do your little community part. If you don't want it, opt out. And you can stay opted out. There's places on the ONR website you could click to never be bothered by these again. It's that simple. Now, there's going to be fluctuations in the market. The CCA has performed well when you look at it over a 12, 18-month timeline. That's what we're counting on. But if it doesn't work, you can opt out. You can stay opted out. You can opt in and out. You can play it like a day trader. You can do it as often as you like with no fees, no cost. There's no burden. There's no catch. Now, it was brought to my attention tonight that the mailing had maybe a glitch or two in it. But again, if you don't go to a meeting, if you throw out the letter, that is not the CCA's fault. You
It should be
can't.
your choice to opt
Okay,
in.
finish.
All right, thank you, Joe. No, you're right.
I got a time clock going, I gotta do this.
Oh, sir, I'm barely speaking. This is an important thing that affects this isn't a personal matter. This is a government matter for all of us. So allow me just 30 seconds and I'll finish.
Most of us don't like it.
That's not true. And by you saying that, you fuel it, and that's not fair.
Okay.
The program works, yes. You opt in, you have to opt out. That's the caveat. That's your little bit of community service. For the people that want it, they can get it. For the people that don't want it and don't like it, no harm, no foul. Opt out, it's over. But by trying to get rid of the contract, then now that's socialism. Now you're making a decision for an entire community that they can't have it. This is about choices. This is
That's
like
not true.
bringing,
That's not true.
It-
If we opt out, one second, yes. If we
and I
opt
don't
out-
work for Jewel.
If we opt out and you still want to get in, you can call them, so you're not being harmed. If the village was to opt
Well, I didn't
out,
say that. Well, that's exactly right.
yeah, you can still opt in.
You can opt in and out
Yeah,
as
so
often as
no
you
one's
want.
losing any of their rights.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then what'd
Okay.
you say I was wrong for?
Thank you.
No, I'm asking you
What?
to address. You said I was wrong. I don't understand.
Then I
now.
misunderstood you. All I'm letting everyone know that if you call Arjun Rockland, another thing, if you call Arjun, and I'm gonna give you one more minute on the clock. If you call Arjun Rockland, you can tell them you want a block on your account.
I said
No
that
other,
already,
no,
yes.
no other company can change your current billing
I said
through
that
Arjun
2
Rockland,
minutes ago.
okay?
Yes, sir.
So all that needs to get to the press, I hope, and I want to tell the folks here, but especially at home, you can call Village Hall. I hope to have these letters that you've thrown out by accident, or you thought it was junk mail, so that you can come in and get the card, and if you want to opt out, there's a card inside the envelope. But we'll do everything that we can from all the complaints that we're hearing.
Well, then I encourage that you also share the website so people can go on and look at the FQAs and find out the facts. Like I said, we looked at this very closely in the town and we did not jump into this. If it did not provide free and liberal choices to people, it would not have been brought aboard. And it's that simple, it's not complicated. I appreciate that there was a glitch in the mailing that, by some people's opinion. I want to address that. You have a question?
Yes, I think, Joe, I just wanted to remind people, because that this board voted for it unanimously,
Correct.
just like the town did.
Correct.
So we voted to opt to be part of this.
Correct. That's
So,
exactly right.
okay, right. So I think, as a board, we should have a power of conviction, okay? We have to be able to say, we thought about this, we voted for it, we opted for the whole community to sign up for it. The board did, the whole board did unanimously, okay? And we should have a power of conviction to actually defend this position when it's not popular. Today, it's not popular because for some reason, historically, O&R dropped their kilowatt prices from $15 a kilowatt to 4 cents, 15 cents to 4 cents a kilowatt. That's never been heard of. Last week, this was a great idea. Last week, the CCA was much cheaper than O&R. Last week, it was a good idea. This week, it's a terrible idea. I'm opting
And in a
out.
month from now, the rates can change
That's
again. That's
right.
why you gotta look
So
at the
I'm
CCA
opting
over the
out.
timeline.
I'm opting out, Martha, okay? I think the village should opt out because it's not a good idea at all. And I
As am
agree
I.
with you, right? So that's the whole idea, is you can
You're
opt in when
opting
it's
out,
good, you can opt out when it's
I'm
not.
asking you.
Of course I
Okay, so
am.
you see there, I want everyone to know, especially TV land, the village is opting out, I'm opting
No,
out, Joe's opting out, Melanie's opting out.
But I'm not
I think you're opting out, you do what she tells you.
All right, but see, listen, Joe, don't be unfair. I'm not
I'm
opting
not
out.
being unfair.
That's your house.
Let me
I don't know.
speak.
All right, I gotta go. I
No,
gotta
no,
go.
well,
What do you mean,
now you hit me with something.
Joe, we're up to
Chance-
6 minutes.
Short reply. It's important.
I love the way people pay attention, obey the rules. Go ahead.
Joe,
Short
as
comment.
a town member,
Short
I
comment.
appreciate the rules. This is an issue that people are caring about,
I don't need you to lecture me on how to run a meeting. Go ahead.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm opting out because there is a trend in the market and it's down to 4 cents. I'm opting out for the first month. I don't want to opt out of the program. I want that choice to be there when O&R's rates,
That's right.
go back up to maybe 15 or 20 cents an hour, a kilowatt hour, then I can opt back in.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of the program, but I'm going to pay attention to it.
Jimmy?
That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy?
Jim Ramus. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just a couple of things, based on some of the things I heard here. It was stated that if you have opted out through an O&R already, or you're in a different program through O&R, you would not get a letter. I've been out,
That's what they told me.
okay, Mr. Mayor, but I'm just gonna let you know, I've been out walking around, and there are people that have other energies from O&R, which is available, and they did get the letter. I'm just
No, I believe you.
food for thought on that.
The company is all over the
No,
place
that-
every time you call
Yeah.
I have it right here from today.
I can make these real quick, and I know you know I get long-winded sometimes. But as far as Zoom meetings, some people don't have that capability to go online, or they don't do Zoom meetings. It would have been nicer to see more information mailed out or headlines in the newspaper. It's just my opinion. And also at some of the meetings, and at one of the meetings here where a presentation was given, I had asked the gentleman. Now, I already knew the answer to the question because I was at the other meetings that the town had as well. But there was supposed to be 3 choices, and it appears in the letter, we had one choice, opt out. Actually, there was 2 choices. Either you opt out or you're in, so that's 2 choices. But there was supposed to be a middle choice, which we weren't given, which is kind of upsetting because I thought we were going to get 3 choices. And I believe that one of the companies that ONR does have available, I believe it's called Clean Energy, and you should see their prices, they're pretty good. Thanks so much.
Joe, can I just say something? You know, I know, the board listened to this, it was a good idea, it was a good idea last week, this week it's not a good idea. And what I'm saying is that instead of creating confusion and anger in the community, maybe we should try to explain, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to explain that this week, this is a terrible idea, opt out, okay? And maybe we can offer the residents some kind of a solution. When it's a good deal, we can tell the residents, it's a good deal this month. We should opt in. If you don't want to ever mess with it again because it's so confusing, and I get it, I was confused, okay? But you know what? I called Orange and Rockland. Within 30 seconds, I was opted out. I said, you know, I'm going to opt out this month because the price is not good. 30 seconds, and I have 5 accounts because of, and they said, you're opted out. But I get it. A lot of people would be confused by it, you know, and the mailing, that's a little confusing. But maybe we can help the residents by trying to explain it instead of creating more confusion. That's all.
I know, Joe, that the mailer did come out, and it was kind of confusing, but there was some good points in the News of Highlands. I think it was in last week's paper that it was in there and stuff, so I just, you know, but that's all.
I'm going to move,
Can I say something? Olga Anderson, on Deer Park. Well, anybody who was wondering whether this has been publicized or not, it's been publicized. Mary Jane has done a terrific job getting this in the news. This isn't the first time it was on the front page. We've had multiple Zoom meetings and in-person meetings. Normally, there's 2 people there. So I urge everybody to understand that there's another in-person meeting on Monday at 4 o'clock at the library again. So please, questions, concerns, you want to opt out, you can do it right then and there. But there's 3 ways to opt out. It's not just by mail. You don't have to worry about your mail getting lost. As Dr. Guerrero said, you can call them. You can go on their website. You can do all that. But I do think it's important for people to understand that nothing is being taken away from them. In fact, when O&R sends you their bill, they have made that decision for you what the energy supplier is. They made it. You didn't make it. You didn't have a choice. If you're an O&R customer, you get what they send you. You get what they decide. So you were already opted out unless you picked your own third party. So make no mistake, this is giving you a choice. Thank you.
next on the agenda, I have bills and claims. I would ask you to motion to pay $380,711.71. Motion by Brian, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gary, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. May I have approval for the minutes that were written at from our last meeting on February the 6th, 2023? Motion, trustee Guerrero, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee DeSalvo, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, you're up. School district.
I'll talk fast.
Come on up here.
Hopefully mine will not be any. I'm Ann Wallace.
Is the school
I'm here
in,
with-
is the school in on the electric?
We don't have a choice. It's not for large entities yet. Okay, I learned that when I went to one of the meetings. So Gabe O'Connell's here with me from the school board, and Chris Carballo, our assistant superintendent for business, in case we have any questions. But we're here tonight just to remind the community about our upcoming capital project vote on Tuesday, March 28th at the Highland Falls Intermediate School. The voting times are the same. Sorry, I'm talking fast, but I don't want to take too much time. From 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., just like any other vote. And we're inviting all of you to join us for our information sessions. They'll be held at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School where we'll go into detail on the scope of the work that'll be involved. It'll be on 2 Saturday mornings and also on 2 Wednesday evenings in March. And the dates and times are on our website. And we also encourage the people to visit our district website. We've built a very nice link out there that shows all the work that's going to be done, as well as the details, and an FAQ site that talks about a lot of the questions that we tried to foresee having to do with the capital project and why we're doing it now. So just to touch base on the scope of work, the total dollar amount projected is $44.4 million, and our building aid rate ratio right now is 82.9%. And what that means is for every $100 in aidable work, the district will receive $82.90 back in state aid, which is very good right now. So we will also be using $8.8 million from our capital reserve fund, which is our capital savings account that we've been able to build up for this work that we need to do. And our debt reserves is $755,000. So this particular project is different from our last one, this one will affect all 3 buildings. But what I need to make clear to everybody is the visible work that you're going to see when you drive by the schools is basically going to be visible at our Fort Montgomery Elementary School. And that's why we're having our sessions there. Anyone who has children in the Fort Montgomery Elementary School or who has been there recently knows how tight we are there. We actually have some of our special classes, and as well as some of our special needs students or kids that need to be pulled out of the classroom, they're being helped in the hallways. So our special needs teachers are teaching students in the hallways at desks. We have our specials, our art on the cart, we have library, we have some of our other things being held, unacceptable to me anyway, not only as a taxpayer or as a board member. So some of the work that's going to be done at the school is you're going to see a creation of a new larger multi-purpose room, gymnasium, cafeteria with the warming kitchen. All of our cooking is done at the high school, but then it's brought to the other buildings. So you'll see a renovating of the existing multi-purpose room to create a library media center, as well as learning spaces for classrooms that are currently displaced, such as art, music, and some of these instructional support services that I talked about. And they're renovating the existing kitchen area to create a new, larger, safer health office for our nurse. Right now, our nurse is basically in a closet. I don't know if anyone's been there, but she's in a closet. Marnie Muscatello works out of a closet, so no other better way to say it. Our Highland Falls Intermediate School alterations, I'm sorry. Nope, I'm going to hit on that later. Our Highland Falls Intermediate School alterations, if anyone's been by there in the winter time, the parking lot, ice glacier. No other way to put it. The whole parking lot needs to be reconstruction, and we're going to have a much better drainage system put in. All the work inside, every building now is going to have an updated building management system, heating and air conditioning updated in all the buildings. There isn't a weekend that goes by, I am not exaggerating, these two that our heating system doesn't go down. I got a call again on Friday. heating system, 2 boilers in the high school, out. We have a fantastic staff that knows how to Band-Aid them and gets them up and running for us. This is not gonna last. We need to put money in our budget every year to keep these things up and running. We cannot do this any longer. We need to invest in our infrastructure. So every building, all 3, will have updated building management systems, heating, air conditioning, electrical work done, as well as roofs, new roofs put on. All 3 buildings or 2? All 3 buildings will have new roofs put on. We will put as many of the air conditioning and heating in as rooftop units as we can while updating our roofs in all 3 buildings. Electrical panels and plumbing upgrades in all 3 buildings. We are also going to renovate the kitchen in the James Ionia High School. That is a 30-year equipment is in there. So along with where they serve, our servery area is 30 years old. So all that will be. Also, we're going to replace the roof in both the A wing and the B wing. Right now, there is a lot of leaks in there. We just put that beautiful gymnasium floor in. We have patchworked that to the point we can no longer patchwork it. The one thing that I want to talk to you all about is the key takeaways in this is it is our responsibility at Board of Education to keep our infrastructure safe and up to date. But we have to do this in a fiscally responsible manner while keeping our taxpayers in mind. That's one of my key roles that you'll hear me whenever my term is up to run for school board. And in order to do this, we have to work closely with our financial advisors, not just our school board. Chris does an excellent job, but our financial advisors outside the district to keep our financial debt in check. And we have to make sure that every year we put some money into our capital savings account. And that's where we're able now to take this $8.8 million out to put towards this project. And also to make sure that when we talk about our debt falling off. So our debt right now on our past capital projects, this is the time to do this. Our debt is falling off where we can take on more debt. And I've heard you guys all talk about it. This is the time where our debt is falling off, where it's time for us to invest properly in our debt. And one thing about this project is we can do it now with a 0 increase, just like our last project, to our taxpayers. So if I have this correct, and I want to make sure I say it correctly, this is our first time around with this talk. If we get this capital project approved, if we do not, we still need to invest this, and it will be an effect on our taxpayers. We will still need to do little pieces of work. If not, our next time we can do this with 0 effect to the taxpayers is 13 years from now. Correct statement? So we have to work our hardest to get this project passed. It's a 0% increase to our a 0% effect on our taxpayers if we can get this approved now. Using our savings account, using the debt that's falling off, and using what we have. Good job. Can I answer anybody's questions?
Say the date again, just for the ballot.
For the ballot?
Yeah,
Yes, Tuesday. Sorry I talk so fast, but I know you guys are busy. March 28th at the Highland Falls Intermediate School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I promise that the voting will be in the front of the school so you don't have to walk to the back of the school. I know a lot of people have concern about this. Yes.
Ms. Walsh, thanks.
Sorry I talk so fast, but I know.
That's okay. I just want to thank you and the board for all the hard work you guys do up there on the budget. I know
you.
budgets are very difficult.
Yeah.
Quick first question, is the state aid good for the entire project, no matter how
Yes.
long it takes?
Correct. Yes, it is.
Perfect. And then, I know you talked.
Once it's passed
Yeah.
and we send the project to the state to get it approved.
Okay, good,
Yes,
good. And then the other one is, I heard you say 3 buildings.
yes.
So
Well,
unfortunately, we have 4 buildings.
Yes.
And
Why
are
can't?
we doing anything with that old building
Yes.
that's on Mountain Avenue? We have
That's
some
one of
plans
our
for that?
frequently asked questions. So it's in one of our frequently asked questions. And Senator Schofish just recently got us approved. One of our problems with being able to rent that building out or lease our building out is people did not have the money, totally understand, to invest in that. And one of the key things was the heating system. It's old, it's antiquated, it has asbestos. So he was able to get us a grant now to replace the boiler. So we are just waiting for the funds to come through, and once the boiler is replaced, we do have, not a lot, but we do have one or two groups that will be interested in now finally leasing the space from us.
Okay, great. I mean, my suggestion would be, once that's done,
Yes.
maybe we could get the town and the village and the school together and maybe turn that into a community center for the kids.
Excellent.
Just my
Yes,
thought.
just to look at it, because people wouldn't have to invest. That's one of the biggest things, is getting the heat up and running in that building.
Thanks so much.
Yes.
Thanks, it was a great presentation. It's great that the state is going to give us 82 cents on every dollar that we
Beautiful.
spend, and we're using 8 million of reserves, which is great. How much are we bonding? How many millions are we bonding?
I'm gonna have to ask Chris to tell you that, to make sure it's
For how
accurate
many years?
information.
All right, so some of that stuff is obviously going to be determined once we kind of finalize exact
Yeah,
numbers.
sure.
But if you figure the 8.8 million is going to come off that $44 million, right? Assuming we go to the full 44,
Yeah.
so then the rest of that bond would come out of that. So 44 minus the 8.5, what's that, 32? I can't think of the number off the top of my head.
33,
36.
36.
36 would be a portion of that bonding. But again, that's going to be over about a 15 or 20 year time period. And I know that as we think about doing the development and the sort of planning for it, if we can save dollars, we're going to try and save dollars as well. So we want to save it quite that high.
It won't be that much, because we look to save money as we're going along.
If there's different opportunities, if there's new ways to.
So 36 million is the number you're getting? Right.
And again, I just ask people, go out to the website, and if you come to the information sessions, I promise we won't be as quick. We can answer all your questions. And thank you for giving us the
Thank you
time.
again.
Thank you so much
Thanks.
for giving us the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck with your votes coming up, your elections.
Next on the agenda is a resolution, whereas a check totaling $12,500 has been received from the Community Development Block Grant for 2021, and whereas this revenue has been designated to offset the repairs at the senior center. Now therefore be resolved that due to unanticipated revenue from the Community Development Block Grant 2021, the Board of Trustees approves an amendment to increase the appropriation budget A 7989.0410 Senior Center Community Development Block Grant 2021 for $12,500, and the revenue code of A 3089 Other General Government Aid for $12,500 for the fiscal year 22-23. This was extra money that was given to us for that particular, for 2021. May I have a second? May I have roll call?
Trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
Trustee Alward,
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo,
Yes.
Trustee Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. And next, we have a resolution for the Village of Highland Falls Comprehensive Plan Special Board. We all know that we're going through the comp plan. We've had public hearings, meetings, a lot of interest. And this is a resolution for the Village of Highland Falls is interested in adopting an update for the Village Comprehensive Plan. And part of that is to create a committee. And as you read, it goes on, therefore be it resolved that as provided in the reference section of New York State Village Law, the trustees of the Village of Highland Falls do hereby appoint Todd Atkinson, Norman DeYoung, James Ramis, James Titolo, Jack Janarone, Olga Anderson, and Ron Malakot as members of the special board with authorization to oversee the development of the draft of the Village Comprehensive Plan. May I have a motion?
The motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have roll call? Yes.
Can we add, that was a very heated meeting, and there were a few people there who were opposed to Mr. Janarone and Mr. Ramus, and they are in the planning board. Ed Dunn, Eric Smith, Rich Sullivan. Could we put one of them?
What
on the
board
meeting?
are you on?
Zoning board, sir.
And Jack General's on the zoning board,
Ed Dunn is on the plan.
and Ed Dunn. Hold on one second. Jimmy Tito is on the planning.
And he's on the planning. as
Yeah, so
well.
we're covered on the planning and zoning, that's what I thought we were. So we have members of the planning board and zoning board on the committee.
Ed Dunn as one of the planning board members, since you have 2 from the zoning, maybe 2 from the planning?
If that's what you want, I don't, it's fine. Yes,
I have a question. If there's 3 members of that board on this board, does that constitute a problem? 3 members of a planning
Ed Dunn's on which
it?
board?
Planning.
On planning.
So 3 members of the planning board would be on this?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
2.
that would be-
No, 2.
So
2 and
3
2.
members of what board?
Well,
No, she's saying 3 members of, that are appointed to boards.
Will
Does that-
pose a
Does that
problem.
pose a conflict?
Ed Dunn's on what board?
Planning.
he's on planning.
And so is Titolo, and so is,
Ramos and Janarone are in the zoning board.
Okay.
Titolo and Dunn would be in the planning board.
okay, we'll add him.
Thank you.
So that would be 8 people on this board?
Yeah, I was trying to keep it the other way, an odd number, but that's okay.
Yeah, and an even number can be a bit of a problem sometimes. Needs an odd number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that would make 8. It's up to the board.
You need to have a deadlock. I don't know if you would, but generally boards are typically odd numbers.
Well, it's just it's yeah,
It's an advisory board. so
Correct.
it's up to you.
Yeah, it's
so
not.
I think it's fine, just saying.
All right, we'll add that name, and may I, if there's nothing else, may I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Well, we had a motion already,
need one
and
again.
we had a second, and then you had the discussion, so,
All right, we had a motion with Melanie.
with Gary.
Okay.
Motion.
He made the motion,
Okay.
Yeah, but we're
Jimmy
adding something.
seconded,
now we're
and now
adding
you're.
Well,
had
your
discussion, so we're adding.
motion, if it's okay, your motion's including Ed
Well,
Dunn.
now, yeah.
Okay.
The motion
Okay.
to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
The good people are on.
Ready?
So.
And now a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes?
Trustee Alward?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor DiNarfio?
Yes, thank you, motion carries. Next, we have a transfer of $10,000 from the general fund account, number 601607927, to workman's compensation account, number 8314017, to replenish workman's comp account per the recommendation of the deputy treasurer.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need authorization to sign the intermunicipal agreement with Orange County Department of Planning. You have that before you. I won't read it all, but what it's saying here is it requires local municipalities to refer applications for certain planning and zoning actions to the Orange County Department of Planning for review. We know that, we do that, and I know the building department works with me on this. So this is an annual notice that we should approve. We should authorize the mayor to sign. That's all it is.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Melanie? All in? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have a renewal, the annual renewal agreement for the mayor to sign for Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. You have that renewal in front of you. It's every year that it's the same.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have an appointment of for a part-time police officer, Ligon Esposito. Effective date would be March the 6th, 2023, at a starting rate of $25.60, with a maximum probation recommended by our officer in charge, Jason Torpy.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is Jason here?
Yes, sir.
Jason, I have one more to do, as you know, but thank you. Keep on this.
Absolutely.
All right, please? Thank you, thank you. Next on the agenda is the appointment for a part-time dispatcher, Eric Puzo, effective March the 6th, 2023, starting at $15 an hour, with a maximum probation recommended by the officer in charge, Jason Stropo. Jeez. You know, I just saw a picture of Jason on my phone.
Make a motion. So moved.
I apologize. Motion, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. I apologize.
It's okay.
So it happens when you get old. Sorry. No, not yet. Next, we have a request. You have the paperwork before you for vacation buyback from the village clerk. May I have approval? It's for, as you see there, for 9 days. Motion by Melanie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we have a letter addressed to the mayor. Let this letter serve as my formal request for my resignation from the Village of Highland Falls Police Department, effective February 27, 2023, with my final day at work also being the same day, February 27, 2023. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve outstanding citizens of Highland Falls. I've had many great times over the last 8 years and have made friendships with that I will cherish forever. At this point in time, I believe it is time to start a new chapter of my life and have accepted a job with another agency. I thank Highland Falls Police Department for all they have done for me throughout the years and wish all the members the very best moving forward. Sergeant Robert Ruger, could we accept this, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Roughly the second, yep.
All in favor?
Yes.
Sergeant Ruger was one of our best men.
That was, I need a little more response on approving it. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we have a person here, Kathy Rogette. She's been doing very, very good. She's the part-time retention clerk. And the village clerk is letting us know that she is doing her job very well. And she's an asset to the Village Hall office staff, which I can also attest to. And if we could take her off probation.
So moved. Second.
You have it, Jan?
Second was Brian?
Yeah. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next we should approve this electronic waste event, which was a success last year for the village, what I saw down in lot number 2. They're having it again from 8 in the morning till noon time at lot 2 across from Sacred Heart. If you have computers, anything electronic, you bring it down there and leave it off. They'll help you take it out of your car or your truck. Insurance has been provided, so all they need is approval for us to let them use that parking lot on April the 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Just to point out, the agenda says lot 1, it's lot 2.
It's lot 2, yeah.
There's a typo on the.
That's okay.
Lot 2.
No, I got lot 2 here. Yes, lot 2. We have a motion and we have a second.
Salvo and,
Phillips.
thank you.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
TVs on sidewalks.
That's right.
Okay, public comment. Yes, sir.
How's it going? I'm John Walter. I'm a village DPW maintenance worker. I just like to, short and sweet. there's things that are being said that aren't true. We have a great working relationship with the town. So I just wanted to point that out, and that's all.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
How you doing? Randall Bailey, I live on Fostoria Street. I'm also a police officer with the Village of Highland Falls and the PBA president. I just have a couple of things I'd like to say is, as a resident and police officer in the Village of Highland Falls, I ask Ms. Guerrera why she's focusing on dismantling our dispatch, our police department, and the village itself. Since you've taken office as a trustee, you've alienated the village staff in doing nothing but eliminating the village services and the village itself. You accuse everyone else of being not truthful, but you still really focus on things that you say and do. Are you even qualified to serve as a village trustee? Do you live in the Village of Highland Falls as a public officer's law requires, or do you live in West Point? In the interest of the transparency, why do you explain to the taxpayers where you actually live? As a resident and employee of and a taxpayer of the village, I like our village, and its residents and the people that work in the village. Why don't you truthfully inform the public why you think that you meet the qualifications as a village trustee? Why you seem completely consumed with the idea of eliminating the village, and why you feel that you must criticize, demean its employees. Perhaps the public should hear from you the truth, since you spend so much time accusing others of not telling the truth. I believe that if you spent as much energy trying to work with others as you do attacking and tearing them down, there would be no limits that the mayor and the village board could accomplish for the benefits of the villages they serve. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Can I answer?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sergeant Bailey, my home is Highland Falls. I live in Highland Falls, okay? I do not live in West Point. I have many residences, okay? I own properties. I don't own property in West Point. I own property, multiple ones, here in Highland Falls. My home is in Highland Falls, okay? So yes, if you think I'm up here getting beat up at every board meeting because I'm having fun with it, and yet I don't live here, you are greatly mistaken. So that's the first thing that I would like to say. Secondly, this is all. Dissolution is a thing of the past, right? Okay? The entire premise of dissolution was to save money, to be efficient, to get rid of redundancies without cutting back on services. There was a very big plan that cost you, the taxpayer, over $20,000. There was a plan in there. Chief Pieri put it together for you, actually, right? And it's actually going to have the same coverages. 2 police officers per shift, some 3 police officers per shift. But instead of patrolling 1 square mile, you get to patrol 2 square miles. That includes the village of Highland Falls and the hamlet of Fort Montgomery. That was the plan, okay? So if you're wondering why this all came about, like I'm so hateful. I'm not hateful. I'm trying to save money for the people of the village, to include you, right? Because you're only one of 3 people in the police department who actually live locally, right? So I'm trying to save you money. But that's okay. The people spoke. They said they don't want it. For whatever reason, they don't want it. I'm not going to force it down their throat. It's a thing of the past, right? So when I question why a highly qualified, highly credentialed Chief of Police, Chief Tammy Dreyer, with all those credentials, lasted only 6 months in your police department. You seem to take that as me demeaning you. It needs to be answered. Is it because you didn't like her? Is it because she made you do work that you didn't want to do? I don't know. All I know is one day, her resignation paper was in front of me at a village board meeting. But you, Frank Lilos, who came here a month ago, seem to take offense with that line of questioning. And you turn it around by saying that I'm demeaning you, right? Why don't you just answer the question?
Well, if I may, just real quick, I'm not gonna go back and forth with this. One,
Thank you.
that police department can't even man its own shifts. Okay, that's one, and that's what you were trying to get here. Two,
I'm sorry, what, who?
the town can't even man its own shifts.
So the town police department,
Yes.
you don't like them?
No, I worked there 28 years. I have no problem with it.
I know they fired you from there, I believe,
No,
because of, you were,
All right,
Because of-
now it's gonna go to a place I.
no, yeah, you
can't
were falsifying bids.
What?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Okay, so listen, you gotta do me a
Yeah.
big favor. You gotta do me a big favor,
Yep.
please.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on, and, where's, Jason Torpy? Jason, I wanna say this, I wanna look at you when I say this, and I want you to take this back to the men. I know some of them are here. I don't know who's around the corner, I can't see. I have the overdose report for Orange and Sullivan County, that I'm privy to. And I just want to congratulate you and the men and women, because there's women in the police department, as should be. You guys, you're in the ambulance corps, same thing. I want to congratulate you because this department, because out of 33 towns and villages in Orange County, not Sullivan, the only 2 that had no deaths, only 2, Harriman and the village of Highland Falls. That's attributed to you and the men and women of the Highland Falls Police Department. Okay? The
Appreciate that.
well,
My guys do a tremendous job. I will pass that along.
please, because there's a tremendous amount of towns and villages, Monroe 11. I mean, the numbers are high. Even if it's 1, it's high, because that person died,
One is too many.
all right? I could go on a little bit longer, but I don't think anyone wants me to, but thank you.
Appreciate that,
Okay,
sir.
thank you, okay. I've called the DOT, Department of Transportation, and they're looking to do some shared services with the Village of Highland Falls. When I get the agreement, Elise, I'll give it to you. I should have had it today, but I didn't have it as of before I came up here. But it's a way that we can help each other out. They're the big guy, we're the little guy, but sometimes we can even help the big guy. But if we needed a truck, or we needed additional salt because we had a bad winter, all kinds of things that will, up to $25,000 that we'll be able to, not the money, we can't get money from them, but that we can, we can use services up to $25,000 if needed. So I will let you and the community know when we get to that. Jimmy DeSalvo gave it, where'd you get this, down at the town?
Association of Towns.
Association of Towns, thank you. That's why those things are good to go to.
You guys can do that too.
Last Thursday, Friday, where's John? Last Thursday, Friday, kind of a long storm. Rain, ice, sleet, snow. All in all, when it was all over with, it was better than what the weather report said we were going to get. But the guys did a good job. They did a very good job. I got up very, very early, like maybe 4 o'clock, probably 4 o'clock. And I looked out and my road was blacktop. I know it was the only road in Highland Falls that was blacktop.
Church Street was also.
Okay. But when I saw that it was blacktop, I go, yes. You know, so thank you.
Really nice job, guys.
Thank you. Okay, just information, that's all it is. That's all this is. So when you go to vote the next election, there'll be a proposition for moving the elections to the county and the village, out of the village. I just want folks, this comes from the New York Conference of Mayors. Nonpartisan elections become partisan. So right now, there's folks running on four different lines. And you make up names, like I always say, like we used to do when I went to school, we had government and we used to make up names, better government, whatever. We got parties out there today running change, don't change, move forward, move downward, whatever. They're not partisan. In other words, they're not running on the Republican line or the Democratic line. If it goes out to the county, that's the way it'll be moved to a partisan election. And I'm assuming that you'll have to go to the Republican committee and the Democratic committee to get their endorsement. Probably everyone who's running today, 6 people, would not be running. There wouldn't be 6 people running. And I don't, so some of these folks that are running would not be able to run. The major political parties do not have party platform that address local issues. So, whatever that all might mean to you. The other thing is, I know Gary, you got stuck in this. You ran for a town council, you won, and before you could take office, you had to resign because of the Hatch Act. You can't be a federal government employee and be on the board. Well, that'll be the same here. If you live in the Village of Highland Falls and want to run for one of these offices up here, and you work on West Point, you won't be able to. That's, whether we agree with that or not, that's the way it is. You got caught in it. You didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And the girl, the lady that ran with you, same thing. She won and she couldn't serve. So just, whatever that might mean, might not mean anything to most of you. Okay, I'm going to read something because, and I appreciate everyone, all of us, this is a nice meeting. So I'm going to read something that was adopted here at this table back in October. The exact date is October the 5th, 2021. So that's a few months ago. Village of Highland Falls resolution adopting policy for conduct of public meetings and all communications with the village board. Whereas the village board of the Village of Highland Falls welcomes all public comment and takes each and every relevant comment from residents of the Highland Falls seriously. And whereas the village board welcomes public comment from constituents and others in the open and public forum. And whereas, in order to facilitate orderly and productive meetings whereby the essential business of the Village of Highland Falls is timely conducted in an efficient manner. And whereas the public meetings during which members of the public provide an adequate but not excessive amount of time to speak on a particular agenda item or public issue in a civil manner, enhancing the conduct of village business. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls and the Board of Trustees enact the following policy for the conduct at public meeting. So what I'm going to read right now, everything I did read and everything I'm going to read now is in fact been passed by this village board. The mayor, or in his absence, the deputy mayor, shall be the presiding officer of the meeting and shall recognize speakers that yield the floor to them. If the mayor or the deputy mayor is absent, the attending trustee shall appoint a presiding officer for that meeting. Alternately, the mayor may appoint a presiding officer for all and any one meeting. 3, the presiding officer shall have the authority. The presiding officer shall have the authority to end the meeting if either the board or the public fail to follow this policy and become unruly. 4, the presiding officer shall have the authority to remove a member of the public if that person fails to follow the policy, becomes unruly, disrupts the meeting, or who insults and belittles anyone. Disruptive, argumentative, abusive, intolerant conduct by any board member shall likewise not be tolerated. The presiding officer shall have the authority to adjourn the meeting upon motion and the vote if such behavior is exhibited. Attendees may not interrupt the mayor or any trustee during their reports. Comments from the public shall be allowed on the agenda item at the beginning of the meeting as set forth in the agenda, which I did today. 8, as the mayor's sole discretion, comments from the public and on non-agenda topics may be allowed at the end of the meeting, time permitting. 9, speakers must step to the front of the room. 10, speakers must give their names, address, and organization affiliation, if any. 11, speakers must limit their remarks to 3 minutes. 12, speakers may not yield any remaining time to another speaker. 13, all remarks must be addressed to the board as a body and not individual members of the board or to the audience. Speakers will remain civil and courteous at all times. The village board will not tolerate discourteousness, speakers who designate or otherwise make disparaging comments about anyone, including members of the Board of Trustees. 15, the board will listen to speakers with courtesy and without interruption and will not engage with speaker for the purpose of rebuttal. 16, the board, in its sole discretion, may respond to specific questions by a speaker, but will not use that as an opportunity to engage in rebuttal or arguments. 17, written comments are welcome and will be entered into the record, provided, however, they do not obtain foul or disparaging language of any kind. That we adopted a few months ago. And I'll be honest, I don't have to be honest, I'm honest, you guys know it, I have not been following it. But it's going to be followed now, by us and by you. Here's the rules this board adopted. With time limits and all, we're no different than any other board. Here's the guidelines at the Town of Highlands Consolidated Planning Board. Public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per person. The chairperson, in consultation with board, reserves the right to make adjustments. As a reminder, the public comment period is intended for the public to make comments to the board. It is not a public question and answer session. So we're following what most people do. Okay, now I'm going to read something to you that I'm going to cover the name up, but this was on Facebook. I'm just going to read it word for word. I'm going to read it word from word. We can laugh at this. We can say, they didn't mean it. We can say whatever we want to say. You guys can take this any way you want. Word for word. I'm not going to leave any words out. It's not long. We need a thermometer meter at the fountain. What they mean by that is like the 4th of July thermometer meter. We need a thermometer meter at the fountain. Fundraiser, capital letters, to raise real dollars for a real purpose. Donate a few bucks. Hire a loaded gun. Hire a loaded gun to handle removal. I guess they mean don't wait for election time. I'm reading it for word, and I'll show it to any board member that wants to see it. So you know I read it word for word, and I'm not putting a word in. Donate a few bucks. Hire a loaded gun to handle removal process of elimination. And I guess it means something if they're capital letters. I don't know, I'm old, I don't know about this stuff. In tiny village, imagine seeing where your donations have gone. Your dollars, finally, a win and well spent. Okay? I take that serious. Okay? We can all take it how we want. First of all, I am talking to the authorities. I want to know if there's a way. I'm not going to spend $1 on a thing you got to walk through to have go off. But I'm not going to allow any guns in this room either. By anyone, whether you have a carry-on or you don't. No guns in this room. I will do everything I can. And if the law doesn't permit me, well, then the law, I guess, is not going to permit me. I take that serious. What? No, I'm not going to say anymore. We have talked about this before I got this. Before I got this. We have talked about this a few times.
And I gave you my recommendation on what to do.
I'm sorry, but again, that's hard to take. For me, it's hard to take. I can't, Jim.
I was just
No, I can't, I'm sorry. See, once I do it then, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's not allowed anyway, that's all
I'm
it's
sorry.
under your state law.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do this real quick, and then I'm gonna go to the other trustees, and then we can go home. What?
Public comments first?
I did.
It says public comments.
I did it before me.
Oh, I thought that was the public comment on.
No, I have it on two. I have it on two.
Public comment
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, that's on agenda items, and that can be on almost anything.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Okay, so I know that, our meetings lately, leave a lot to be desired, you know? I've heard Jerry Springer, I've heard, whatever else. You know, I don't disagree with these comments, they've been bad. I apologize. I know there's folks home or even here, sitting here at those meetings that weren't well, you know, weren't orderly, saying, why doesn't the mayor stop it? I tried. Every single meeting, I must have tried 20 times to stop, but people don't want to stop once they start going after one another. But it's going to stop tonight. It's going to stop tonight. I apologize to the community, again. And I've heard, like, what do they do? Is that all they do? Is that all they do? Twice a month they go on TV and beat the heck out of one another? No, that's not what I do. So I'm going to give you a taste of what I do. While all this arguing has been going on up here for the last few months, here's what I've been doing. And all of this is hours, days, and more hours, and more hours. And the village clerk knows this, and the village attorney knows what I'm going to say. And some people in here, John, you know. I know Jason Torpy knows, your department heads. I see you guys every day. We meet. You know, what's the mayor doing down there? Well, I'm working. I'm not just sitting in here with my feet up. So I'll go through this quick. What have I been working on just the last few months? And it's all here. The comp plan. Now, we've all been working on the comp plan. Everybody can speak for themselves. The comp plan has taken up a tremendous amount of our time. And it should. It's an important document for the next 10 years. It's almost like a Bible that we should live by. Zoning changes. A lot of you know that. When we talk about zoning changes up here, this isn't the only place that it gets talked about. We spend a tremendous amount of time downstairs on zoning changes. Ginny, you know that, with Jim Martin and with Todd Atkinson. Okay, I've been trying to find a clerk. Advertising, Indeed, local paper, Times Herald Record, trying to find somebody. On my mind, our village clerk is retiring, and I don't have a replacement. It drives me up the wall at night. Well, we fixed that now, and I'll announce it tonight, that Lene Mazeris, who's sitting back there next to our village clerk, will be the next village clerk. Thank you. But there was a lot of time spent on this. Treasurer's position. I still don't have a treasurer. Our treasurer is retiring. We've been trying to spend a lot of time on the treasurer's position, trying to find one. A village clerk and a village treasurer, municipality clerks and municipality treasurers aren't easy to find. It's a specialty job. Okay? I'm spending a little time, but right now I'm leaving it up to the ladies in the back to replace Lene for a purchasing clerk. We need to replace the purchasing clerk. That's just not for upstairs. That's all that work gets done downstairs. Spent a lot of time, John, with you, with your position. A lot. Not just one meeting. A lot of meetings. The Skoufis grant, we got $100,000 from James Skoufis from Main Street. I just didn't pick up the phone and said, hey, James, can I have 100 grand? It took a lot of paperwork to do. We still don't have it. We got authorization for it, so we're going to get it, but there's still a pile of paperwork to do. That's what I do. We had a lot going on for a few months over at the police department. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. The projects down at Ondiora Park, the new water lines, new sewer lines, new storm drainage. That's taken up a tremendous amount of my time. Before it started, getting the bids out and what has been required, and then opening bids and going through the bids and who's good, who's not, who can do the job, who can't. Going down there almost every day to just check. They need to see the mayor, that he's watching. Talking a lot about the water tanks that need to be power washed. You go up Mountain Avenue, the 2 tanks are on the left, they're half green and half moss. Right? Doesn't look too good. They need to be power washed. Cable agreement. I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. We have so many lawsuits by Copal. 2 more just came in this week. 2 more this week. If you don't think that doesn't take up time. And money. Who said that? You did? Yeah, you're right. And money. It's hundreds, I'm using the right words, hundreds of thousands of dollars by what Copal is doing to the village and to the town and to the school. Now you can love her, that's fine, but I'm also telling you the truth. So if money means, I hear money all the time from everyone. Hey. 2 more this week. We're going to have cell antennas. We're going to have cell antennas. A lot of paperwork right here in this rubber band about Bog Meadow, upper and lower. Okay? Tremendous amount of time. Tremendous amount of time. And this is all about upper bog and lower bog, increasing the dam so that we can capture millions of gallons of more water. Restore New York. Tomorrow at 11:30, I have a meeting with the contractor who was awarded the Restore New York to take the paint. All my life, this building has looked like it is. It's the I used to say pink, but it's salmon colored building across the street from the firehouse. It's that long building. All the paint's coming off that, and it's going to be restored back to brick. That'll start within a couple of weeks. It just doesn't start. It took a lot of legwork before that. Mearns Avenue. We're still working on Mearns Avenue. That's probably the longest project I've ever dealt with here. We have some grant money from a congressperson, 4 congress people ago. And we're gonna get there. The big problem there is DOT. Water meters, we're looking at putting in water meters at the water plant, upgrade the meters that have been there for the last 70 years, 50, 70 years. Working with I call it the Hazen report. It's about the TOCs. That's the reason you sometimes get a letter in the mail that the TOCs are up in the water. It's by law, we have to send it out to everyone. We're working on remedying that issue. Walls that are falling down all over the place. Met recently, even tonight briefly, the whole board did, but recently, a couple different days, I met with the fire chief about retention and about trying to get new members in. They're hurting, like every volunteer organization, they're hurting for members. We have to figure out a way. I know that, Gary, you're working on the LED lights. I'm skipping over some stuff. We're working on the budget right now, so I'm skipping over a whole lot of things that I could tell you that we do instead of fight up here. At least me. I'm not gonna go, it's a whole, I only gave you 3 or 4 things on there. You can see how many there are. There's 47 things immediately right now that I'm working on. That doesn't count 20 emails a day. That doesn't count 10 phone calls a day, interrupting me from doing these kinds of things. I only bring this stuff out because it looks like all we do up here is fight. Recently, we've had a lot of renovations to the senior center. South Main Street, new sidewalks. Wastewater collection rehab. North Main Street sidewalks. Emergency action plan, upper and lower Cragston. That's a big thing. A lot of that had to do with West Point because they own those lakes, but we're involved because if any of those dams break, West Point's not gonna get flooded out, we are. A lot down at the sewer plant, both you and David Hurst sitting there with the generator and the digester and the methane gas, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to save on electric bill by reusing the methane gas to create electricity. You know, we're on this stuff. I'm happy about this. I'm not looking for less. I'll take more. I'm happy about all this. The belt filter replacement down at the sewer plant. We almost have a new sewer plant. There could be an argument for that. Schneider Avenue drainage improvements up the hill here. Roe Park rehabilitation, playground, pool, basketball courts. On and on and on. The last thing I'm going to say, and I say this to my board, not to anyone in the audience or on TV, I'm sorry, Brian, or on TV. I'm begging you, here I go, and I'm gonna make this short. I'm begging all of you. We all know politicians. I know one, I know two, I know this one. You might know someone, you definitely know someone. I know you know the new congressperson. You got a better seat than I got. They gave more than me, I understand. I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you. Brian definitely knows people. This is a book of grants. Instead of, again, I'm talking to you guys. Instead of us arguing, let's go after the grants. We talk about the debt. Let's go after the grants to bring the debt down. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. This whole thing is about grants. Here's $4.2 billion. $4.2 billion in New York State. Infrastructure. I just got this yesterday from our new congressman. All kinds of grants. So I'm going to do my part. But I need you guys to help me. I'll listen to everything about debt. I understand debt. But I'm not going to listen to it for a long time if I'm not going to get any help from anyone up here to get this grant money. The Village of Highland Falls used to be very, very good in getting grants. That actually became a little embarrassing. I was always asked to go to the ceremony and Pataki would give me a check. A mock-up check, not a real check. That'll be on Facebook. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. You know that. I could tell you who's going to put it there, but I won't. All of this is grant money. Okay, I'm going to end. All this grant money. So I'll wait for you guys to come knocking on my door and say, hey, how can I help? I'm going to wait. I'm there 12 hours a day. Thanks, everyone.
Me first? Okay. All right, so I have two things to talk about. One is the building department, and I have to give a report on that. But I'd like to start with the budget workshop that we had just this Saturday. This Saturday, we actually had the first budget workshop, and what we talked about was the general fund. So the village has 3 funds. One is general, which is the biggest pot. The other is the water fund, and then the third is the sewer fund. What we talked about was just the general fund. and there's a lot of cause for you to be alarmed, okay? We need to run the village using the general fund, $6.33 million, okay, to run the village. Again, that's excluding the water and sewer fund. We only have 5.1 million in revenues and real estate taxes. So we're short, okay? We have 5.1 million in revenues. By revenues, we talk about sales tax, like a sales tax of $1.2 million that the New York State gives back to us. It's sales taxes that we've paid into the state. We're just getting that portion back at the end of the year. And it's approximately 1.2, sometimes higher. It was higher last year, a year. And then real estate taxes that we generate from the 1,100 houses in this 1 square mile village. And that usually comes up to about, I think, 3.5 million if we don't raise taxes. So we have $5.1 million in revenues, but we need 6.33 million to run the village, okay? So we have to appropriate $1.2 million from somewhere, right? And that's what I'd like to know. Where are we getting this from? This is what you hire us for. The 5 of us are here, not, to be friends, not to go to meetings, not to party with you, but to run the village. You give us all this power by giving us all your money to give you clean water, to get rid of your sewer, to make sure your streets are clean, to make sure you're safe. You give us $8 million a year, and you give the 5 of us the power to spend it. We spend it for you. We hire people for you. We go into debt using your name. That's going to affect you and your future, okay? So that's what we are here for. So now, budgets are very, very important. And like Mr. Ramos said, it's very complicated. This is only my 2nd year here. It's super complicated. Both Gary and I, this is really overwhelming. And you have to spend a lot of time to try to figure out, well, where is the money going? Where are we going to get it? So I'd like to ask the board, where are we going to appropriate this $1.23 million shortfall? It's our operating budget deficit.
Okay, I'm going to give you this kind of answer. Of course, it's okay that you brought this up and the things that you're saying. Of course. But we've only had one budget workshop. And it was Saturday morning, so today's Monday night, so it was two days ago, Saturday morning. It's the first time this year on the new budget. We were just given the numbers. It was a wish list. The department heads know what I mean by this, everyone does. The water department, the sewer department, the police department, the village hall, all these, everything that goes into general, submitted their budgets. And we just saw it for the first time 2 days ago. Sunday came, it's supposed to be a day of rest for some people, it isn't for me. That's fine. Monday comes, today. Before noontime, long before noontime today, I've already come up with a suggestion of taking close to $200,000 out of general to be approved or not approved by us. It's what I came up with talking to the department heads this morning. So again, I'm doing everything I can every minute that I have. But if your numbers are correct that you brought up, okay. But yeah, no, that's fine. I have it here. But again, it's a little premature. It's just a little premature.
Well, let me answer that too, okay?
This is not to argue.
I know, we're not arguing, so I just want to inform the people. So I looked into this, like how we've been operating on an operational deficit for at least 6 years now. In 2017, our operational budget deficit was $300,000. That's how much we had to appropriate from somewhere because our expenses and our revenues were not matching up. And then 2018, it went up to 354. And then 2019, it went up to 450,000. 2020, 579,000. Those are all this deficit. Oh, okay, all right. I'm glad you said that, right? Last year, it was 598,000. So year after year, somehow our budgets are not balancing. We're not doing something right, okay? We keep appropriating this fund balance, which the state comptroller has told municipalities repeatedly. You shouldn't appropriate fund balances unless it's a one-time expense, not a recurring expense for operational budget deficits. If that is happening, you have to look at your budget and try to figure out where this mismatch is, okay? So, you mentioned surplus. So, what is this surplus that Mr. DeSalvo and you keep talking about? What surplus? What? Explain it to me. Because I looked that up. What is this surplus?
I happily gave up arguing for Lent, so it's your time, please speak.
Okay, so I will. That's because if you can't explain it, you have to be able to explain it to the public. It's their money, okay? You know how much surplus and reserve funds we have in the general fund? We have $460,000 in cash. I mean, you know, you have to know that, right? And then the reserve funds you're talking about are restricted. You can't just take that. It's not liquid assets. So where are you going to get this $1.23 million this year? This is an incredible amount of deficit, okay? So you, as the people of this village, need to understand that the money you're giving us is not being managed correctly. Let me give you some more facts. Okay, this is another fact, and I want to remind you this. We have a $5 million deficit in our net financial position. I've said this to you before. Our pension fund is not adequately funded, okay? The end of the fiscal year, May 2022, we had a negative $1.3 million deficit in our capital reserve fund. Did you hear the school board come up here today and said they had $8.8 million in their capital reserve fund because for years they've been building it up. We have a negative $1.3 million capital reserve fund. Now, we filled that up because after May 2022, we borrowed close to $5 million. So we put money in there of borrowed money. Your name, okay, your name, your children's name, okay? And we haven't paid for debt that we borrowed 20 years ago. We've refinanced it twice. So money we borrowed 20 years ago, we haven't paid back. We just refinanced it last year. So are you feeling comfortable with what's happening with your money? You shouldn't, right? So I'm telling you, we're waiting for the infrastructure to just crumble, right? You know how much we spent on leaks and just plugging holes because we have been unable to really plan ahead? 10 years ago, we should have been planning this. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, what is next? What's going to break down? Like a house, right? Is the roof going? We need to put money away for the new roof, for the new everything. Well, we weren't. So just last year, we spent plugging holes because of water leaks, sewer leaks, $200,000 just for plugging them up, right? Not only that, but we outsourced cutting grass in the summer. We paid to outsource that $25,000 last year. Last year, we spent $38,000 on hardware supplies. What hardware supplies? Employees can go to the hardware store, buy tools, buy lumber, buy everything, and we don't have accountability of who's doing with what, where is it going? $38,000 for that, okay? Our insurance premium for the village went up to $230,000 after the sewer blew up. The sewer blew up. Why did the sewer blow up? Because We hired somebody who didn't have a license, okay? He was unlicensed, the sewer blew up, the village had to pay for that, the village insurance company paid for that. But they're gonna get their money back. So they raised our insurance premium from $150,000 a year to $230,000 a year. They're gonna get their money back, okay? You're paying for all of that, right? Your debt just doubled this past year. Our debt, my debt. So if you're wondering why there's a lot of arguing here, because all these things are being brought up. For you to know, you're supposed to know. And before you elect somebody else on this board, you want to make sure that you're electing them for the right reason, right? You want somebody like me to ask questions. If you get mad that I'm asking the questions and you impose censorship by saying, you know, no more fighting, we don't want you arguing. You're saying don't ask the question. You want these questions asked. It's your money, okay? And this is what you elected us for. We're supposed to take care of it for you. Building department, real quick, for the month of February. 22 permit applications received, 18 of those permits were issued. There's only 4 violation notices that were issued. That's nice, people get angry when we give them violation notices. 18 FOIL requests, 35 building permit inspections. So the building department is busy, as usual. Phil Hannawalt, he works hard, so don't give him a hard time.
There's a lot to unpack with what was just said, like a lot. And I'm going to take the smallest item, and then I'm going to move on to Brian. Grass cutting. What was the contract last year?
16.
Huh?
16,000.
16,000. If we don't, and we can do it either way, we can continue to go out to bid, and if the low bidder fits the responsibility, he'll get it, or she will get it. But if we don't go out to bid and we do it in-house, we talked about this at the budget workshop a little bit, and that's why I say tonight, it's okay. A board member can bring up anything they want at any time they want, but it's not exactly the way it was presented, not exactly. With the grass cutting, if we don't go out and spend, with a contractor, we will have to hire 2 men. That's 2 salaries, that's 2 people, that's 2 benefits. We will have to buy equipment, fuel, et cetera, because that's all they'll do is cut grass. So that was the reason we did it. And those are the kinds of things that we have choices whether to do it in-house or not, that we look at every year. It's just not a grant, it's just not given that we're gonna have a grass cutting contractor this year, nor was it last year. But when we talked about it and you put the facts down, as long as they're the facts, sometimes it's better to have a contractor come in instead of hire 2 more folks and pay that salary and pay those benefits. That's all. And again, those are types of things that we talk about at budget workshops, or sometimes we run into each other on the street and we can talk that way too, and that's what we do, and we do that. I just picked out the smallest one. There's so much more to be said. And again, like I said, Saturday morning was our first budget workshop. It was the first time we saw the paperwork. It was the first time we saw the numbers. And by noontime on Monday morning, I have $200,000 that you all will have to agree on. Brian.
Police report, half of January and February was 822 calls. Arrest summary was 6 arrests. 1 was a felony, 4 misdemeanors, 1 violation. Parking meter tickets were 13, traffic was 5, and we got 18 altogether. Revenues came out to $497. Yeah, well, I'm not done yet.
No, I know you're not.
The weekend of March 10th and 11th, we're going to have a March Mania we can't say madness anymore, I was told, so we have to say mania. Up at the middle school, March 10th and 11th. Friday night, we're gonna have a 7 o'clock competition between the Town of Highlands Community Coalition and the New York State National Guard. That's gonna be Friday. 7 o'clock, I would suggest coming up at least by 6 to get a seat. Saturday will be a series of elimination games. We're gonna open up at 5:30 Friday. Saturday, we're gonna start at 11. You should be there by 10. The money will go to a scholarship fund. We do this every year. We select 4 or 5 kids and we give them a scholarship. Some of the stuff I'm gonna be reading is like in April, but what I'm gonna do next week is the next meeting is my last meeting. So I will give this to somebody else, but I'd like to present it now. Family Wellness Conference. This has to do with the District Attorney, D.A. Hoovler. It's gonna be on the 22nd of April from 8:30 to 2:30 at the middle school. We're gonna be talking about mental health, drug addiction. We're gonna be talking about where people can go to get help and things of that nature. But I wanna thank Attorney Hoovler for not only being the guest speaker, but funding us for this. Town of Highlands Senior Recreation, April 19th. His location is the Church of Holy Innocents, Main Street. We're going to be bringing in Orange County Health Department, health screening, nutrition, free drug disposal kits, Section 8 housing, Town of Highlands Senior Council, Town of Highlands Recreation for Seniors, Town of Highlands Community Coalition, that's the center and the Orange County working together for drug prevention. You know, when we were reading that about we didn't have that many deaths, the first response I received was, well, you know, that's because you guys used Narcan. Being the person I am, I said, thank goodness we have people wearing seatbelts, because if they didn't, they'd be dead. Come on, folks. We're working hard on the drug issues in this village, just like any other village in town. I mean, of course we're going to use Narcan. It saves lives. Well, if you didn't use it, you'd have more. Okay.
We'd have more what, not?
Deaths. Town of Highlands, Dial-a-Bus, the center of Highland Falls. At the center, we're going to be having 10:30 to 11:30 men's social hour. That's all I'm going to say about that one. English as a second language for adults starts March 19th. Then we're going to have Spanish for older adults, conversational, on April 16th. That'll be in Holy Innocents. Bingo will also be at the church. Town of Highlands Senior Recreation Council is also going to be in April, June, September, November. And the Community Speaks at the center is the fourth Tuesday, May, October, and December. So what we're trying to do is develop programs for seniors and for young people. Okay, I'll give this to somebody else, whoever comes in with the election. That's it.
Ron, the only thing I'm going to say, and not for discussion, but it's just really, for me, I think it's very sad that all these programs for senior citizens aren't being held at the Senior Citizen Center. I don't, never will, up to this date, understand why. But that's okay. We can talk about it another time.
Evening, everybody. Just a couple updates with Bog Meadow. They're 100% full. Jim's Pond is full. Upper and Lower Bog are both full. We're still using the water off the cascade that's coming down from the mountain. They had a couple of leaks, Mearns Avenue and South Street. They are repaired. There was another one on Cousins Avenue that was, Homestead Avenue that was repaired. Just to let you know about the leaks, I called a couple other municipalities around the area our size and stuff, and they have leaks also just like we do. So we're not really that much out of the ballpark like everybody else. Yes, some of the other communities are bigger and stuff, but we have older pipes. I mean, you go up from probably New England all the way up, or all the way from Virginia all the way up the whole Northeast. We're the oldest places in New York, the whole East Coast. we're the oldest. I mean, you know, so a lot of people have the same problems with the water leaks. You can't predict a leak. It is what it is. It pops up and you can't do nothing about it until you call, and then we get it repaired as soon as we can. So sometimes we, you know, DPW, they dig up the hole, TAM comes out there, they use a machine that sucks up all the rock and the dirt and the gravel. Our guys repair it, they fill back up the hole, and then we get it patched up. So it does stink, because, I mean, you know, you will wind up getting brown water and so forth. So, you know, you can't do nothing about that. But if you do leave messages up at the water plant or the sewer plant for John or Dave or Jack up there, please leave a professional message. You know, don't, some messages up there are just kind of like, there's even no sense even drop a message, you know? Seriously, I heard a couple of messages, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? I mean, where's professionalism? I mean, but I guess it is what it is, so, you know. But you're the ones that have to look at yourself in the mirror. The other thing is too, is that spring is coming up, and, you know, we do have high taxes, you know, and we need to cut back, there's no doubt about it, I agree with Melanie 100%. But nobody is gonna come to Highland Falls, no matter who's on this board, or who wins, or who's running, or whatever, if you don't take care of your own property. Those flyers that are around, that I don't know, it's a cheap newspaper thing, it's in the plastic. You walk up and down, okay, my street example, there's like 6, 7, 8 of them sitting out in front of your property. Nobody's picking them up. Nobody's picking them up. There's so many Airbnbs that are in Highland Falls, I don't know if they're legal or not, but garbage cans are out there the whole time. There's recycle bins. Nobody's picking up their garbage until somebody comes in and rents that place again for, you know, then they bring back the garbage can and set it out. It's just, like I said, nobody wants to come to a town or a village that looks like garbage. So that's just my opinion. And to that, I would definitely think that, you know, I don't know, we could bring it up whenever, but I definitely think we need our own code enforcement officer to bring the money back into the village. I don't know what we get from the town, and Phil's doing a great job, but he can't.
You don't get anything.
Okay, but he can't be spread thin. And when I'm walking the dog and everybody and their brother stops me, says, hey, why is there a garbage can out? Why don't they call Phil? Phil has a lot on his plate. The town's doing what they're doing like they're supposed to, but we need to, our residents of Highland Falls need to help out our guys by picking up their own trash and stuff, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Gary. I agree with it. I agree. Jim?
Yeah.
And happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Let me say that about St. Patrick's Day. This Sunday, the 11th, 2 o'clock, I've invited all the Irish children of the community to come help me, which I need help me, to hoist the Irish flag up. Memorial Park, this Sunday, 2 p.m. And if you're 3/4 Irish, you can come. Not Polish. They got their own month. Jim?
Okay, just to hit a few points. There's a lot, so bear with me, folks. In regards to the police chief or any employee, whether they resigned or were let go or whatever, as I was walking around the community, some folks had asked, and basically it comes down to we're legally bound not to talk about it at a public meeting. All right, there is still some privacy and dignity that employees should and have to go through, whether they're not working here with us or they decide to move on, whatever the situation. And any member of the board, when we're in executive session, gets informed of any issues that may be pertaining in any one department. And on top of that, both our municipal attorney and our very well qualified labor attorney can be accessed at any time. And I know for a fact that members of the board who may have had questions on why an employee was asked to leave or resigned or whatever, have had that communication with those professionals. So we'll take care of that. No hidden agenda, no magical star shooting across the sky. It all happened the way it happened. On a comment on CCA, the energy program, Yes, the board did support it. I had voiced my concerns from day one about the mandatory opt-in program and that you had to opt out. I had said numerous times that I think some of our older folks in the community, might get confused with it. And I don't think you have a lot of options in the information that we got. And I agree that the letter was the information that CCA provided was a little misleading because the dollar amount for the CCA program ended up being more on the paper than the other two options. But the only real option you have is to opt out, because if you do nothing, you're in. Just so folks know that at home. That's that. Cutting grass, let's talk a little bit about the budget. Cutting grass. The reason why we went to a cutting grass program and put an RFP out, RFQ for cutting grass is because we let someone go from DPW. Probably happened about 8 or 10 years ago, maybe a little longer. And there were budget cuts, and we cut a position. And we knew we were gonna cut a position, we knew we were gonna reduce DPW, we knew we were gonna have a person power issue. Thank you, Olga. Person power issue, so we decided to put out to get a bid to cut the grass. Even if we were spending $30,000 plus benefits, say $45,000, I'm using very low numbers, we'd still be at a savings spending $15,000, $16,000 to cut grass without adding another person. That's a savings to the community. No doubt about it. Insurance premiums. Let's talk about insurance premiums. I know business owners whose insurance premiums skyrocketed, whether it was because of fraud, because of workman's comp, whether it was because of fraud in the business place. Everybody's insurance. My insurance went up on my home. My insurance went up for my car. Yes, we had a fire at the sewer plant. It was a tragedy. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. But the insurance company covered well over almost $3 million worth of work that got completed at the plant due to the damage. $2 million, thank you for the correction. Over $2 million of equipment that would have been, that got destroyed in the fire. So yes, our insurance premiums go up. And I said at the meeting this Saturday, we should look into going to a different company maybe. Maybe we can get a lower price. People shop, if you have a small business, you shop every time for insurance to see if you can get a lower number and lower costs. $38,000 for the hardware, at the hardware stores, I think that was brought up. I'm pretty sure, I don't know of any employee that's putting addition on their house or apartment, so I'm pretty sure that those materials went back into the village community. I won't have you guys swear an oath to that, but I'm pretty sure, I've been to some of your guys' houses. Jeff, you don't have any construction going on. You don't work for the village, but I know you don't have anything going on down there. Okay. The school, let's talk about budgets. Let's talk about budgets for a second. The school budget, this is not a criticism, just a little factoid. $35 million. They're taking on an infrastructure plan of 36. We heard it from the business agent that was here tonight. Put things in perspective. Put things in perspective. Yes, we borrow money to pay for major investment in infrastructure. I didn't want to spend that money. That bond was authorized under the previous administration. It was authorized by the previous administration and the job didn't get done. So now we are doing it at a higher rate. I would have loved to got it at a lower rate. Believe me. Would have loved to.
That's not the fact.
I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
It's a lie.
It's not a lie. That project was put together and authorized by the previous administration. Talking about.
We haven't even borrowed that. We're not talking about the sewer that we just borrowed $5 million on. You're getting your facts wrong.
Melanie, can I finish my comments,
Well,
please?
I know.
I didn't interrupt you at all.
I know, but they're not.
So they're not screwed up, Melanie. Let's talk about the numbers you presented. You said in the tentative budget, which has not been approved yet, and we had one meeting, you said, we're taking $3.5 million in taxes. That's not the case. That's a falsehood. It's 3.3.
Oh, I'm
Okay, well, you're sorry, but you, no. You're sorry, but you're giving the wrong information.
No, it's
Yeah,
3.
it's 3.3.
3.35466.
That's not 3.5. Oh, yeah, no, I know, it's okay, it's okay. And we keep using the total budget amount when we give the facts and the numbers. It's not accurate to do that. You can't say that we're raising $8.5 million in taxation. We're not.
I didn't say that.
The estimated revenues are broken down in the budget. Every board member gets them. And the money comes from different places. And this is tentative. This isn't finished yet. We have a whole process to go through. So to start throwing these numbers out is not right. It's not right because we just started the process. And for the last few years, we have been at the tax cap or lower. And even still, in this tentative budget, we have surplus dollars to offset taxation. If we didn't use the surplus in the budget, which by the way, a good friend of ours, Mr. Jim LaRusso, used to serve on this board, was a veteran. He used to say, it was one of my favorite phrases when I was younger in town and following. It's not our money, it's the people's money. It's your tax money. If I don't use that surplus, I have to get taxes from you. A general municipal budget has to balance, which means whatever I end up spending, I have to take from somewhere. I could take it from taxes, or I could take it from surplus. Even though we use the surplus, we still have a fund balance at the end of the day, on top of the reserve accounts. We keep talking about this, but we don't put things in perspective, and we just want to put, not questions, it's a slanted bias. It's a slanted bias, it's not questions. A question would be, how much do we have to raise in taxation based on the tentative budget? Putting a slanted bias is that we have to raise 3.5 million. It's not accurate. It's not accurate. A comment was made about surplus and the controller's office. The school does a great job putting surplus money away and reserve accounts away. And every year, they're slapped on the wrist for it because they're saying they put too much in one account. And I always said when I was on the school board, that's ridiculous because that money is there in case we have a problem with impact aid and we have to go to the taxpayers for cash. A healthy fund balance is all in the eye of the beholder. We generally are around 10%, 12% of our budget, general budget, because there is a surplus in water and sewer. That's why we're using all that money. If you look in the tentative budget, which anybody can come get a copy of, it's public knowledge, our fund balance is put together of general, water, and sewer. There's money in each one of those funds. Tentative again, tentative amount of money that we're using. So please, I beg you. You're right, people should ask questions, but by gosh, we're up here and we're privileged to information without having to ask for it. Let's just put the right numbers out. Let's put the right numbers out.
That's the problem.
So I'm reading them right off the paper, folks. I'm reading them right off the paper. I'm not making them up. I'm not making them up. Last two things, the mayor had asked me to look into potential alternative ways to get electricity for sewer water. I called a friend of mine, actually not a friend of mine, well, he's a friend of mine. He's a supervisor for the town of Crawford, and he has a contact with a solar company. I had given him the address to our sewer plant. I had just gotten a copy of the bills last week from the clerk's office, and I am giving them that information. They did see the footprint. There's a potential for us to be able to power, if we don't want to do the methane project, which always seems to, I don't know if we produce enough, or, but we may be able to look at alternative ways for power, because I know we had some increase in costs in the sewer department. Maybe for the water too, with the hill.
It's worth looking at.
And I'm sure that makes Olga very happy. That's that. This was the, oh wait, okay. And then finally, my wastewater treatment plant report, which I have two things to add to that. The average volume of wastewater treated for the month was 0.883 million gallons per day. We had 1.5 inches of precipitation. The facility met all New York State DEC SPDES permit limitations. Pellwood and Webb Lane pump stations checked regularly and operating properly. Belt filter press in operation 5 days, compliance inspection performed by New York State DEC environmental engineer. That was actually, we had 2 different agencies come check the sewer plant. The DEC came, which is normal, they normally come, but for some reason they came, closer to election time as requested. Number 6, the primary clarify, and then on top of the DEC, the day that we mentioned that the storm, we had the snowstorm, and John was out plowing and the rest of the crew, which did a great job. We also got an interesting visit from an agency that we've never had there before. So the EPA came down, and they, I think they heard that we run a pretty good ship, so they wanted maybe to check it out. But they also came, I met 2 folks that came from there, they were actually checking the West Point plant, which, yeah, but they came down, nice folks, they got some samples, which we were already doing, and I'll be happy to, when that report comes in, I'm pretty confident we should be fine. The primary clarifier, east path out of service for repair of main chain and installation of new idler sprockets. That sounds pretty technical. And then maintenance of lubrication of pumps, motors, and machinery as required. Thank you.
I have copies of the policy about meetings.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And my mother, my second mother reminded me that this month is Women's Appreciation Month, so shout out to all the women.
I can't beat that, They just copied it.
One second. One more item. Jason, could you come up? And I am going to impose a comment, and then you, for a comment back from you, but only what you're allowed to do by law. It'll make sense in a minute. Just come over here. So, Facebook. Facebook is interesting. I love the animal posts that I get. I love cats and dogs and all that good stuff. And then every once in a while, happy birthdays. And there's a person in town, in the village, that likes to put posts on that are never accurate, always lead you to scratch your head and say, really? Whatever, you can't, this is America, you can almost do anything you want. God bless America. So I saw a few posts from the same person about campaign signs. And this one took them, you took them, you took them, I saw you do it, we're watching. We're sending the signs to the district attorney. Fingerprints, we got it in a plastic bag. I'm not making this up. It is funny, isn't it? It kind of is funny. But it's not funny. Because this person doesn't know what, I gotta be careful, they are talking about. So, lo and behold, I didn't do it. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. I don't know. You didn't do it. We know who did it. Because guess what? We have a film. Gotta be careful, there's cameras out there.
That's accurate.
I won't say any more, Jason. Can you back that up?
So this past week, we've had about a dozen election...
Let's see what's on here an hour from now.
We've had about a dozen election signs reported stolen. Through investigation, we were able to identify somebody who was responsible for at least about 10 of them. That person was taken into custody earlier today.
Gee.
And I just want to remind anybody that might be listening, not only is it childish, but it's criminal. And we do take this very seriously, so...
Good job.
Appreciate
Good
that, sir.
job. I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Are we off?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for being civil.